What if the ground beneath your feet has already shifted, and the map in your mind just hasn't caught up yet? What if sunrise carries a new frequency, one your heart recognizes even when your eyes don't? Today, as your host, I'm opening this space to unfold Daisy Carter's reflections on this very shift. I'll translate her insights in simple, living language and let them land where your day can actually use them. Some call it a Pleiadian whisper. Others simply say, I feel different. The old world of heavy fear and hard edges is loosening, like a tight shoe finally unlaced. A softer reality is peeking through the seams, asking nothing dramatic, just presence, not an escape, a return. We're not abandoning Earth. We're remembering her higher song. Breathe, and notice how the simplest moments feel newly alive. The moment the old world cracks open, you can tell something has changed by the little mismatches, the way an old worry suddenly feels too heavy to carry, the way small kindnesses hit deeper than before. It's like standing in a quiet room and realizing a window is open somewhere, letting in air from a gentler climate. The old 3D habits, rush, compare, defend, don't fit the bones anymore. Your body knows, even if your mind argues. In the pause between breaths, the grip loosens, and in that loosened grip, a new choice arrives, tender and bright, asking you to notice what's already here. At first, the crack is more sound than sight. You hear it in conversations that stall because blame has lost its flavor, in purchases that don't soothe like they used to, in goals that suddenly feel too small for your soul. The crack isn't a collapse, it's a light seam, a place where meaning leaks through. You sense a longer view, patient, generous, unhurried, standing behind your day. The old reasons for fear turn their faces and look thin, like paper masks held up to a sunrise. As Daisy Carter reminds us, a crack isn't the end of the wall. It's where the light remembers the way in. The ego doesn't like cracks. It prefers sealed rooms and certain answers. But even the ego grows tired of guarding doors that lead nowhere. The fatigue you feel isn't failure. It's the weight of all the pretending rolling off your shoulders. In the space beneath fatigue, something warm moves its hand. You don't need to fight to see it. You need to soften, then soften a little more. Notice the way your breath chooses you, even when you forget to choose it. Sometimes the crack appears as grief, not for a person, but for a version of you who worked so hard to survive an old world. Let the tears have their job. They are rain for new soil. In the damp quiet after, you'll find a seed already sprouting, a simple longing to live by what is real, not by what is loud. You don't have to name it yet. Just let it look at you. And when you wonder if this is your imagination, notice the evidence scattered everywhere. The friend who speaks with more gentleness, the stranger who lets you pass, the moment your body says, enough to chaos, and you listen. These are not small things. They are doorbells. They ring from the future into your present, and the handle is already in your hand. A gentle pull toward the higher current. Imagine a river beneath the river, quieter, steadier, always moving toward the wide water. You felt it as the urge to take a slower walk, to taste your tea, to forgive an old story without making a speech about it. This pull doesn't yank, it invites. It asks for tiny, faithful turns, toward kindness, toward truth, toward the next clear step. And each turn feels like exhaling, like putting down a bag you didn't know you were carrying. In 3D, worth was often measured by struggle and speed. In the higher current, worth is measured by alignment. Does your action sing the same note as your heart? That's it. One simple test. You'll notice how much falls away when you use it. Noise fades. Posturing softens. You find yourself reaching for words that don't bruise, and your day, ordinary as bread, feels blessed again. The body learns this current first. Your nervous system, once on constant alert, begins to trust the rhythm of your own breath. Sleep deepens in small pockets. Your shoulders remember how to drop. Food tastes like it's feeding something more than hunger. Even silence shows up as company, not absence. These are not decorations. They are signals that your inner waters have changed direction. Relationships shift along this current in ways that can surprise you. Some connections become quieter without being broken, like two boats drifting into their right harbors. Others grow richer, not from drama, but from cleaner honesty. Love begins to prefer the unornamented sentence. It says I care and means it. It says I can't and means it. And the trust built by these simple truths becomes a bridge the world can actually walk across. You may ask, what if I'm pulled off course? Notice the tenderness of that question. Even the fear is softer now. The current you're entering doesn't punish. It reorients. It brings you back with gentle hands, like a mother who sees her child wander and simply opens her arms. The river remembers who you are, and it keeps pointing you home. The silent death of 3D illusions. Illusions don't die loudly. They fade. At first you keep reaching for them. Success that only counts when others clap. Safety that demands your silence. Identities stitched from other people's mirrors. Your hand closes on air, again and again, until you finally look at your empty palm and realize it is not empty at all. It's free. Control was the crown of the old world. Tight, brittle, glittering with anxiety. You wore it to be praised or to be left alone, but it always cut into your scalp. In this new light, control looks tired. Authority shifts from force to resonance. You begin to ask different questions. Not how do I win, but what builds life. Not who is right, but what restores wholeness. In the language of Daisy Carter, this is the quiet moment when power stops performing and starts serving. Another illusion, exile. The idea that you are fundamentally separate, that belonging must be earned with perfection. Watch how this belief dissolves in ordinary kindness. A neighbor carries your bag. A child laughs and you're included without asking. Even a tree you pass every day looks like it's greeting you. The world starts feeling less like a test and more like a conversation. Then there's the illusion of later, the bargain that keeps joy on layaway. Later, when I've achieved. Later, when they approve. Later, when I fix everything. Notice how later keeps moving its goalpost. In the 5D tone, presence becomes the only legal tender. You pay with attention and receive meaning in return, right here. No coupons required. And yes, a part of you may mourn the familiar rules even as they fade. Rituals are comforting, even when they're cages. Let that tenderness be held. In the quiet after the funeral of your old coping, you'll hear a small sound, like a bird testing morning. It's your life, unspectacular and holy, already waiting at your doorstep. As we open more of this journey, we'll step into the soft physics of the new timeline. How time bends, how the heart learns to navigate, and how your breath becomes a living compass. Ahead in this video, we'll cross the threshold where space feels gentler, choices feel cleaner, and your daily routines begin to glow from the inside. There's a subtle doorway just beyond your next exhale. Let's meet it together, one honest step at a time, where time bends and space softens. Have you noticed certain hours stretch while others vanish? A quiet afternoon feels like a long walk through childhood. A busy morning disappears in 10 minutes. In the 5D tone, time stops acting like a ruler and starts behaving like a friend. It widens to hold what matters. It narrows to pass what does not. Your job isn't to chase it. Your job is to dance with it. When stress runs the clock, minutes are coins you never have enough of. When presence holds the clock, minutes are rooms you can inhabit. You find yourself doing fewer things more fully. Washing a cup becomes a meditation. Tying your shoes is a small ceremony. People might call that impractical. Yet strangely, more gets done. Because nothing is fighting you anymore. Space softens too. A crowded market stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like a tapestry. You notice faces instead of obstacles. You hear music where there used to be noise. Even your home shifts. Corners that were just corners become little sanctuaries. A chair by the window turns into a chapel. Not religious, but holy, because you are present inside it. In this softer geometry, urgency loses its costume. Real emergencies still exist, but the false ones, manufactured by fear, can't get past your threshold. You respond instead of react. You pause, breathe, choose. That pause is not laziness. It's masterful. It lets you pick the right key for the right door. And doors open without splintering. You'll know you've entered this bend of time when kindness stops costing you anything. It just happens. The right word arrives without rehearsal. The right silence arrives without apology. And the day, no matter how ordinary, feels composed rather than crammed. Like the universe tuned your hours to your heartbeat and said, "Walk here, the heart as the true compass." In the old map, the mind led and the heart followed, often reluctantly. In the new map, the heart leads and the mind becomes a skilled guide, translating love into clear steps. The heart's questions are simple. Does this action honor life? Does this word keep dignity intact? Does this choice expand truth? The answers arrive like small bells. No drama, just clarity. As Daisy Carter frames it, the heart's north is the place where truth warms rather than wounds. You'll feel the compass most in moments of choice. A cheap yes will suddenly feel expensive. A difficult no will feel strangely relieving. The body confirms the reading. Breath opens, shoulders settle, stomach unclenches. That is north. Even in hard seasons, the compass doesn't wobble. It points you through storms without promising instant sunshine. But it keeps you honest, and honesty is warm. The heart's intelligence is not sentimental. It is precise. It knows when mercy serves growth and when boundaries protect love. It knows when to speak and when silence carries more truth. You will make mistakes. Good. That's how the compass calibrates. Each misstep becomes a landmark you won't forget. Not shame, information, direction refined. Over time, you begin to trust what the compass chooses, even when the crowd disagrees. Loneliness may visit. Let it sit. Offer it tea. You'll notice it doesn't stay long, because the compass keeps leading you to people who live by the same north, and community grows the way forests grow. Quiet, sturdy, inevitable. One day you'll realize you haven't checked outside approval in a while. Not from defiance, from sufficiency. The compass rests against your ribs like a faithful bird, and in its steady beating, you hear your own name said correctly, for the first time in a very long time. Walking between shadows and light. Transition seasons are tender. Shadows still speak, but their arguments don't land like they used to. Light is bright, but it isn't blinding. You walked through years where survival strategies were your best friends. Now they arrive as guests. You greet them, thank them, let them rest. And then you show them a wider horizon. Old triggers still spark at times. That's not failure. That's weather. In 5D living, you become a better forecaster. You carry an umbrella of practices: breathing, honest talk, gentle movement, clean food, quiet prayer. These don't make storms vanish. They make you less drenched. Dignity stays dry. That alone changes everything. You'll notice how the light inside you learns to touch shadows without making enemies of them. Curiosity replaces judgment. You ask, "What are you protecting?" And the shadow, relieved to be spoken to kindly, loosens its grip. The energy it guarded returns to your hands. You invest it in living. There's a humility that grows here. You stop auditioning for perfect. You start practicing real laughs, real tears, real pauses that don't need performance. This is not small. It's the doorway to freedom. A freedom that doesn't shout. It sits beside you and says, "I'm here whenever you are." Between shadow and light, you become a bridge others can walk across. Not because you preach, because you embody, and people can feel it. Calm becomes contagious. Not sleepy calm, alive calm. The kind that lets a room breathe again. The breath of Earth's new body. Stand barefoot on the ground and listen with your souls. There's a deeper pulse under the familiar one, like a drum slowed to match a wiser dance. The planet isn't only a place, she's a presence. When you match your breathing to her steadier rhythm, anxiety loses altitude. Thoughts perch instead of swarming. Your chest becomes a doorway that swings both ways, outward to the world, inward to source. As Daisy Carter would say, the earth isn't a backdrop to your life. She's a partner whose breath can teach your own. Daily life becomes a ceremony of small alignments. You sip water with gratitude because you can feel its ancestry. You step outside for 3 minutes and come back with a calmer spine. Even chores hum differently. Wiping a counter, folding a shirt, each a chance to move at earth speed rather than emergency speed. These are not spiritual theatrics. They are repair. And repair is holiness in work clothes. Nature begins answering your questions without words. A sparrow landing on a fence shows you how to arrive softly. A river taking a bend shows you how to accept change without self-betrayal. A mountain sitting through centuries shows you how to be strong without hardening. Mentors everywhere. Tuition paid in attention. In this companionship, guilt and shame lose their roles as motivators. Reverence takes the lead. You want to care for what you love, not perform goodness for points. You recycle because the relationship matters. You speak kindly to the land because she hears. Your body hears it too. Symptoms you thought were permanent sometimes ease when you treat your life as an ecosystem instead of a battlefield. And when you forget, as humans do, the earth does not scold. She invites. One breath, then another, until your nervous system remembers the tempo. And in that remembering, choices become simpler. Not easy, simple. The path glows where your feet are meant to fall. Hearing the call of the infinite sky, look up. The wide blue has always been there, but lately it feels nearer, like a ceiling lifted. The sky carries a quiet instruction: expand without tearing, grow without rushing, open without losing your roots. You can feel it in the way new ideas land gently, asking to be planted rather than performed. There's less theatre, more truth. Guidance arrives in textures rather than thunder. A phrase repeats in your chest. A dream leaves behind a steady colour. A chance meeting tingles at the edges. None of it demands. All of it invites. You start trusting these soft signals more than the loud opinions of passing storms. And your life answers back with coherence. The sky teaches proportion. Your problems don't vanish. They right size. Under a larger dome, the mind stops magnifying what doesn't deserve it. You handle what's yours to handle and let the rest return to the horizon. This isn't detachment. It's right relationship with scale. Peace grows in the space. Accuracy creates. Community often arrives under open sky. A walk with a friend becomes a counsel. A shared silence becomes prayer. The sky makes room for differences without turning them into distances. You can disagree and remain woven. That's evolution, not sameness. Belonging big enough for variety. On certain days, you may feel a clean joy land for no reason. Let it. That's the sky speaking in your language. No lecture, just lift. A hint that your spirit remembers how to be buoyant without the crutch of outcomes. A reminder that lightness can carry weight better than strain ever did. The veil of separation melts away. Separation taught you to compete with your own reflection and distrust your neighbor's heartbeat. As the veil thins, recognition returns. You start seeing yourself in other faces, their fear, their tenderness, their unspoken hopes. Compassion stops being a duty and becomes simple eyesight. You don't excuse harm. You understand the hunger beneath it. That understanding changes your choices. The melting veil alters how you pray. Less asking for rescue, more resting in union. Less bargaining, more listening. You stop outsourcing holiness to special rooms and special days. You start finding it in kitchens and bus stops and grocery lines. Sacred is not rare anymore. It's everywhere. And that realization makes life gentler on the tongue. Service changes flavor too. Not martyrdom. Mutuality. You help where your gift meets another's need, and you allow others to help you where their gift completes your lack. Dignity passes back and forth like bread. The table gets longer. Chairs keep appearing. No one keeps score because the meal itself is the point. Old loneliness loosens. Not because you now have 1,000 friends, because the space inside you is less divided. You talk to yourself more kindly. You keep promises to your body. You let your inner child keep a small toy on the desk. Wholeness looks ordinary from the outside. Inside, it feels like spring. And in quiet moments, you might sense the presence of those you've loved and those who love you still. Not as ghosts, as continuity. A single family with many rooms, doors open, lamps lit, no one truly lost, only moving between spaces of the same home, becoming radiant mirrors for each other. In fractured times, reflection can heal faster than instruction. When you stand in your truth with kindness, people remember their own. You don't have to convince. You can embody. Your calm says, "You are safe to be real here." Your boundaries say, "I am safe to be real here too." And in that safety, growth speeds up without force. Radiance isn't performance. It's clarity without glare. You shine in the tone of your voice, the steadiness of your presence, the way you repair quickly when you're off. You become a weather pattern. Gentle rain, more than lightning, and people around you sprout. Not because you fixed them, because you watered the conditions where their goodness could breathe. Honest mirroring also reveals weeds, patterns that strangle joy. In loving company, those weeds are easier to pull. There's less humiliation, more relief. You look at an old habit together, laugh at its stubbornness, and choose something truer. The choice sticks because it's made in light, not in shame. Radiant communities are practical. They share meals, share tools, share wisdom about sleep and money and grief. They rotate strength. On your strong day, you lift. On your tired day, you're carried. No thrones, no pity, just a circle that keeps widening, the kind of civilization that could last, living as anchors of the fifth dimension. To anchor is to hold steady without becoming rigid. In practice, it looks like small dailies. Wake gently, hydrate, move, tell the truth, rest when your body asks, create something with your hands. Spirituality stops floating above your life and starts knitting into it. Bills still arrive. You meet them with order and dignity, not glamorous, deeply holy. Anchoring means you become reliable to yourself. You keep the promises that sustain your nervous system. You don't abandon your routines when emotions spike. You breathe through. You recenter. You return to the next right thing. This consistency builds trust inside your cells, and trusted cells make brave souls. Fifth dimensional living expresses through craftsmanship, how you speak, cook, tend a garden, write a note, repair a fence, quality over spectacle, beauty over drama. You begin to choose materials, words, foods, relationships that age well. The future thanks you from across the fence. You can hear it. Anchors are not immovable, they're faithful. In storms, you flex. In calms, you listen. You learn the discipline of not overcorrecting. Subtle adjustments. No heroics. Your steadiness becomes a refuge in your home, your street, your town. People breathe easier around you without knowing why. That's anchoring. The return to our eternal home. Home isn't a location. It's a quality of being. It's the felt sense that nothing essential can be taken from you. In 5D, this knowing becomes ordinary. You stop bargaining with life to feel safe. You start living from safety. Your choices bloom different fruit when planted in that soil. Even your laughter sounds like it remembers something ancient. Returning doesn't erase your human story. It blesses it. Your scars remain, but they stop aching. Your memories keep their shape, but they lose their power to close your throat. Gratitude arrives unannounced and sits at the head of the table. It pours the tea. It waits while you finish crying. It holds your hand without asking for anything back. Home has many rooms. Your spirituality, your work, your relationships, your body, all find a place that fits. No room is the basement. No room is the throne. You move among them with the ease of someone who knows where the light switches are. You turn them on as you go. Hallways glow. There will still be hard days, but they won't feel like exile anymore. They'll feel like weather passing through a house that's well built and well loved. You'll sit by your inner fire and listen to the rain. And even the storm will sound like music played in a key you finally understand. And now, as this journey settles into your chest, let the silence speak for a moment. The shift from 3D to 5D is not a future promise. It is a living presence already humming inside your breath. You've seen it in the gentle cracks of the old world, in the soft pull of a higher current, and in the dissolving of illusions that once felt unbreakable. This is not about leaving Earth. It is about loving her in the way she was always meant to be loved, whole, awake, radiant. Every choice you make from here matters, not because someone is keeping score, but because each step builds the floor beneath us all. Small acts of kindness, pauses of honesty, moments of reverence, they anchor this new frequency more than grand speeches ever could. The 5D Earth doesn't arrive with thunder. It blooms through you, through us. So tonight, or tomorrow, or the next quiet breath, pause and notice. The veil is thin, the light is near, and your own soul is waiting in the doorway. Step gently, step bravely. The home you thought was far away has already opened its door, and you are standing inside.